Hello there and welcome to this induction webinar with ICS Learn. My name is Melissa Lieberman and I'm an in-house teacher here at ICS Learn. I've been here for about 4 years and I'm here to welcome new GCSE, IGCSE and A-level students to their courses. I'm just going to go through some slides and then I'll also give you a guided tour, a live guided tour of the ICS Learn student community. We've got a few people joining us live here, so if you want to say hello or ask me any questions at any point, just type into the chat box there and I'll keep my eye on that and I'll answer any questions as I go through. So first of all, probably said it already, very warm welcome to ICS Learn. I hope you're all excited about starting your course and that you're not feeling too overwhelmed right at the beginning. Most people doing a GCSE will be facing 1 year's worth of study materials. For A-level, it's 2 years. That's a long time and there's a lot of study materials there. Distance learning, online learning is fantastic because it's very flexible and you can study at a time and place that suits you. The downside is you must study and it's quite hard to be motivated sometimes, but hopefully during this session I'll be able to give you some tips and advice about how to go about structuring your study so that you don't fall behind and so that you make it right through to the end of your course, sit the exams and get the grade that you need to get to move forward with your career or with your studies if you need to go to university or something like that. So here's a quick overview of what I'll be covering this session. I'll give you a live guided tour of the ICS Learn student community. For those of you watching live, if you want to type in that chat box to ask me any questions as I go through, I'm more than happy to, go off. I might forget things, but that's fine. I'll also give you an opportunity at the end to ask questions. I'll talk about how you contact your tutor and how you get support from your tutor and student services here at ICS Learn. Very important if you're doing GCSEs and A-levels, you need to book your exams at some point, and I really advise finding out about exam centres as soon as possible. Even if you don't yet commit to booking, it's really important to know that you've got an exam centre close to you that offers the papers that you want to sit and that you're actually going to be able to sit your exams. Otherwise you won't get your qualification. I'll give you a few study tips and then at the end I'll just talk about what to do after you finish watching this webinar. We'll have a quick Q&A at the end. Okay, I hope that's okay. If you've got any questions, type in the box. So just a few words about ICS Learn, who we are. We are one of the largest online learning providers and we're based in Glasgow. So if you phone up and talk to anyone here at ICS Learn Student Services, you're likely to hear a Scottish accent. It's kind of lashing with rain outside. It's not as bad. We had a really big storm earlier, so it's usually a bit murky up here, but everyone's really friendly, so that's a big plus of living in Glasgow. And we've been supporting learners, it's longer than 125 years. I probably need to find out the exact date and update that slide. ICS actually stands for International Correspondence Schools, and back in the Victorian times, the company was set up as a correspondence school, which meant everything was done in the post. So all the textbooks would be posted out to potential students. They would write letters to their tutors, and everything would be delivered by horse and cart probably. Things were still mainly done in the post up to about 10 years ago, but in the last few years, everything now is online. All of your course materials will be online. So to be successful with these courses, I suppose you do need to have a minimum kind of confidence with technology, but it's all good. Saves a lot of paper, and all your notes will be live on the internet. So we have support currently for, I think we're actually up to 13,000 learners. Not just GCSE and A-level, but there's a lot of professional courses, accountancy, finance. We've even got a personal fitness trainer course, which is really innovative. You have to record everything on a camera and send it online and go in a gym and all of that. So almost anything can be studied online. So it's really a great medium for teaching and learning. And it goes without saying that we're committed to delivering a high quality experience to all our students. So you really are in good hands with ICS Learn. Now, most of your experience of working through your course materials will be via the ICS Learn student community. So I'm just going to, if you just give me a second, I know that you will have logged into the ICS Learn student community already if you're watching this webinar, but what I suggest you do now, through the magic of the internet, I'm pasting a hyperlink there into the chat box. If you're watching the WebEx recording of this, you will need to go to the very top of the screen, click on View, then click on Chat, and that will open up this chat box. And that means that you'll be able to click on any links that I paste in that chat box. So the people that are watching live now, if you just try that for me now, click on that link, and that will open up the ICS Learn student community in a browser window. And that way, I'm going to share my desktop with you in a moment. That way you can try doing some of the things that I'll go through in real time. So you'll have the two windows open, and you can toggle between them using the boxes at the bottom. So open that in a new window. I will share my desktop, so the screen will just blink for a moment, even if you're watching the recording. Just go to, let me just open up the page I want. Share my desktop. Give it a second. There we go. So now you can see what I see on my desktop. The first thing you'll notice, those of you watching live, is that the chat box has disappeared. But not to worry, we can turn that back on. What you need to do is get your mouse and drag all the way to the top into the middle of the screen, and you'll notice a little drop down will come down from the top. And then what I'd like you to do is click on chat. That way you can still ask me questions if you need to. So click on chat. That will open up the chat box. And then when you've done that, just type OK. Or yes, just to say that you've done that. That way, I'll wait. So Jefferson, you win. You did it first. Chris, you've done it. Good. Isaac, you got that open yet? Just to let me know that you can still communicate with me using the chat box. So we'll give Isaac a second. I don't know if Isaac's gone now, but you got it. Thank you. Hello. Hello. It's fine. Good. All right, perfect. So here nobody's logged in. So sometimes you might not find this, but the login button is up there in the top right-hand corner. Just on a quick note, while you've got that open, please add that to your favorites. So I'm using Internet Explorer here, but whether you're using a different browser, usually it's a little star. So click on that star, add the ICS Learn student community page to your favorites, and that way you'll be able to get to it really quickly every time. So step 1, add the student community page to your favorites. Step 2, log in. Now, this number is your ICS Learn student number, which will have been emailed to you when you started. So note that down somewhere safe, because every time you phone student services, quick tip, their contact details are at the bottom of every page on the ICS Learn student community. So if you need to call them at any point, the opening hours are there, usually 9 till 6. But on a Friday, they finish a little bit earlier. You can also email them if you have any problems, if you're having trouble logging in or whatever. And they will usually say, what is your ICS Learn student number? That's that number there. And if you click this little box here, if you're using your own computer, that way the system will remember that. You won't need to type it in each time. And it's not one of those annoying systems where you have to, once you've put a password in, I think that's your password forever. You don't have to keep changing it unless you forget it. If you do forget it, just click on this blue forgotten username or password. You can either type in your 8-digit student number there to retrieve your password, or the email address that you use to register with ICS Learn. Press search. That will just trigger an email that will get sent to your email account, and then you can reset your password. Okay, logging in. Very important first step. Log in. Here we go. Right, now this is what you will see when you first log in. This is just a dummy student account that I have here. Your name will be at the top. If you've uploaded a picture, you will see a little picture of yourself up there. If you haven't loaded a picture, I'll show you how to do that quickly in a second, but first let's have a look around here. Now you've got a navigation box here on the left-hand side, so you can access all of your courses just by clicking on these links here. Now this particular student is just doing GCSE Maths, so they've just got the GCSE Maths and GCSE Maths lessons. But you can click on there to get into your courses. You can also click at any time on the information for GCSE and A-level students page, and that is where you'll find information about booking exams. There's exam timetables on there. There's also the induction webinar and some study hints and tips, so it's worth having a look at that to see what's on that page too. This page here is called the dashboard, so you can always get back to the dashboard just by clicking in the top left-hand corner. There'll be a breadcrumb trail, which you'll notice in a moment. I'll show it to you. You can also get into your courses by scrolling down the page, so you might have to scroll down a little way. If you've got any outstanding messages, so messages from your tutor or someone at ICS Learn, you'll be able to access those by clicking on messages there. You'll also see this little, so the student hasn't checked their messages for a while, so if you need to check any messages, you can just click on this little bell. So this is an invitation to a webinar, so click on there and the notification will open up, and you can, that's actually a message from me that I sent out to all my GCSE Math students. So you can see them like that. These forum posts usually if there's something that's been posted to the news forum or talk to other students, not usually. Sometimes things from your tutor. If it's a message from your tutor, you'll see a little red cross, and you can get into those forums just by clicking on these blue links directly. So anything that you see that's blue is a hyperlink, and you can click on it to go to that page. So just very quickly, if you do want to add a small picture, so you can see that at the moment this student doesn't have a picture. The reason pictures are quite nice is that if you send a message to your tutor, they'll have a little photograph associated with your name, and it just helps that relationship. You know, I might have 10 students called Sophie. If there's a Sophie with a little picture, then I'm much more likely to remember which one's which. Very quickly, this is how you add a picture. Click in the top right-hand corner there. I'm just going to move that chat box. Click on profile. This is also a good way for checking the information that ICS Learn hold about you. So on that page, you'll be able to see your address, your postal address, your email address, your phone number. If you need to change any of that information, just contact ICS Learn Student Services using the email there. If you want to add a photo, just click on Edit Profile here. So you see that Edit Profile. Just click there. I'm just going to close this one down. And underneath there, you'll see user picture. So all I've done is I've just collapsed that menu, and underneath there is user picture, saves me scrolling. And then you'll see one of these file upload boxes, and these are very common. You'll see these quite a lot on the ICS Learn student community. The student community is actually a VLE. I don't know if you've heard of that. It means a virtual learning environment. So it works in a particular way. It's not like a website as such. You may have heard of Moodle or Blackboard. This is Moodle, and we use this for our students. So to submit a picture, you just click on this. I know it says drag or drop, but the easiest way is to just click on the add file box there. If this is empty, just click on upload file on the left-hand menu there. Click on browse. I'm just going to choose, I'm not going to put a picture of me, I'm going to choose flower or a puppy. What do you think? Pick flower, puppy. Let me know, whoever types in first is the picture that I shall choose. Yeah, it's cute, isn't it? Okay, let's have puppy. So it doesn't have to be a picture of you. I have a picture of myself in my profile, but just any kind of picture like you would have on Facebook. If you want to keep it more anonymous, then you can just have a different kind of picture. I've got all kinds. My students are quite creative in the pictures that they upload. And then once you're happy with your picture, press update profile, and that picture will then appear. You can see it up there in the top left and the top right, and it will be on your dashboard. So back to the dashboard here, and then any message that you write. It's also quite interesting, if you change the picture, it will backdate any forum post that you've done with that picture. Okay, so there we've got a picture. We can now go into one of the courses. Let's go into GCSE Maths, and I'll show you some of the common features. Every course is a little bit different, but what all courses will have at the very top is a contact your tutor link. And it will always be a green speech bubble with a little red. When you first start your course with ICS Learn, one of the very first things that you should do is contact your tutor to introduce yourself. The way the tutor works is that they won't get in touch with you. You really need to be proactive in the way that you contact them. Our tutors are teachers and college lecturers, and they generally work during the day. But you can request a phone call if you want. We say that their usual working hours are between 6 and 9 p.m. So if you do want a phone call to discuss anything about your course, you can ask them anything academic to do with your study materials. You can ask them anything specific to, for example, how long you should spend on each unit, or the relative length of each unit. If you're working on a question and you don't understand the answer, ask your tutor. Don't ever worry about asking for help. This is really the main value in your course, is having this one-to-one support from a tutor that you can contact at any time. So when you first start, it's very important to say hello to your tutor. So I would just, every time you write a message to your tutor, give your post a meaningful name. So it's a good idea to start a new thread with every question. So if you're asking about, I'm thinking of physics, electromagnetism, I don't know, it's been a very long time since I did physics. You might say, having problems with electromagnetism. Your tutor might respond, you can carry on a conversation, but then if the next day you're stuck on, I don't know, Newton's laws of motion, that's probably mechanics. I do that in A-level maths. If you're stuck on Newton's laws of motion, then start a new thread. So for everything that you're asking about, start a new thread. Try to ask one question in each post, and that will make it much easier for your tutor to respond to you quickly. But when you first log in, just say, just saying hi, you know, tell your tutor a little bit about yourself, a rough idea of how old you are, what experience you've had with the subject, and that way your tutor will be able to you know, give you the best advice possible for getting started with your course. So just saying hi, type your message, You can add attachments to your messages to your tutor. Just don't attach your test papers, because otherwise it won't go through our grading system. So if, for example, so you're doing physics, and you're working on a formula which is 1 over r equals 1 over v equals 1, you know, plus 1 over I. I'm trying to remember one of my physics formulae, but it's difficult to type because you can't really type fractions very easily. So if you've got something with complex notation, similarly, if you're doing A-level maths, I think Chris was doing A-level maths, and supposing you're working something out and it's got quite a lot of maths notation, it's a nightmare to type. So just take a photo of it. And then attach it to your message. So just go to Browse, select the file where you've taken the photo of the writing that you've done, and then press Attach, Submit. And that way your tutor will get a picture with your message, with whatever is in it. So that's quite a useful tip. And your tutor will get back to you. You will get a copy of your message. This is actually a forum, but it's a forum between just you and your tutor. You'll get a copy of your message. Your tutor will get a copy of your message. Your tutor will respond. They'll also get an email notification, and they should respond quite quickly, within a day or two at least. And that way you can get a conversation going with your tutor. You've got unlimited tutor support throughout the study period, so that means that you can contact your tutor as many times as you need to during the time that you're on your course with ICS Learn. Okay, any questions about how the tutor contact works? If you want your tutor to phone you, it's a good idea to, you know, please, can I request a call? You know, the sort of thing. Maybe tell them when you're free, tell them what your preferred phone number is. Some tutors might be able to call you during the day, but since their normal working hours are usually in the evenings, that's probably when they'll be available. So find out when they're free, and they can usually give you a call that way, if that would be easier, if it's easier to explain what you want help with over the phone, like that. So back to the course, I can either click up here at the top of the page, that's what I normally do, or you can use any of these links down the left-hand side to get into any of the sections of the course. So these are different forums. So the news forum is usually used for one-way contact from ICS Learn, so for example to tell you that your tutor's on holiday. But you can also go in to talk to other students. It's quite nice. Let me just leave that page, it's just warning me. If you go into the Talk to Other Students forum, you can see lots of students here. This is on the maths page, introducing themselves. So for example, if I just click in here, there's lots of students wishing each other luck. I think it's quite nice to talk to other students, and that makes you feel that you're not on your own, and you can ask each other questions. Your tutor won't work at the weekend, so you might want to go into the Talk to Other Students forum and see if anyone else is working on the same bit that you are, see what they got for their answers, see how other people are getting on. Different people will be at different stages, but I think it's quite nice to have a forum of support from other students on your course and chat to them there. So I would go into the Talk to Other Students forum and introduce yourself there as well. So step 1, contact your tutor. Step 2, introduce yourself on the Talk to Other Students forum. Step 3, read the course and assessment guide or student handbook. So on some courses it's called Course and Assessment Guide, on other courses it's called Student Handbook. It always looks like a little green book like this here, and that just explains all the most important things about your course, what the exam board is, what the specification is, how the course works. So everything that's specific to that course is in this Course Assessment Guide or Student Handbook. And the way you read this book is to go through the pages like this. So you just click these little arrows. Some of the courses, the course notes have these little arrows as well, so you just click on those and you can go through the pages like that. Alternatively, if you've already read through the student handbook and you're just looking for a specific part, you can use this table of contents here. So supposing I just want to go straight to the bit about submitting assignments, click on there and that will just take you to the bit about submitting assignments there. I'm going to show you very quickly before I leave the page how to submit an assignment. So Almost all of our courses, except for we've got somebody doing A-level English literature. If you're doing A-level English language or English literature or A-level history, you do have to do coursework. But for everyone else, your final result will be based 100% on your exam result. When you go to the exam centre and sit your exam, that's how you will be assessed. Nothing that you do on the ICS Learn tests or pages or content counts towards your final GCSE or A-level. They don't have coursework. But every now and then we will ask you to submit some test papers, and the reason for that is so that we can mark your work and give you some feedback and let you know how you're getting on. That way you see how you're getting on, and it's an opportunity for your tutor to give you feedback. Most of our courses are split into units or distinct chunks like this. So here we've got, this is just the maths course, we've got unit 1. So you work through the materials in order. Start at the beginning, work through in order, completing any questions as you go through, make notes. Whenever you get to a test paper, it will look something like this. So you'll see an icon like this. The actual test will either be in the notes, or it might sometimes be within the link itself. So so here, for example, is the first test paper for GCSE Maths. So the student would just click on that, download the PDF, complete this. This particular test is done in writing. I'm going to give you a link actually, which is instructions for submitting a test paper, because there's quite a few steps involved. So here are the instructions. So if you're watching the recorded version, make sure your chat box is open. People that are watching live, you can just click on that now and save that file. That might be quite helpful later on when you go on to submitting a test. But so this is, student has already got something in progress, so that I need to click on edit submission. But it's another one of these little file upload boxes. So the way it works is you just click on this, choose a file, so browse. I'll go to something where I've got a test paper here. Upload this file. If it's a test that you've handwritten, so if you're doing A-level maths or physics, I suggest that it might be easier to handwrite your work rather than trying to type equations and formulae. All you have to do is either use a scanner to scan your answers, or you can take a digital photo of each page. Make sure your writing is nice and clear and that there's plenty of good light, and then upload the images. So we can accept up to 400 megabytes, so that's a lot of images. So even if there's 10 pages, there's 10 attachments, 10 pages, you take a photo of each page and then upload them in that way. So there I've uploaded one file, but if you then needed to upload another one, you just click on here, click on the next one. Once you see all of your files in this window here, you just click on Save Changes, and then you must at the end click Submit Assignment. Otherwise it will just say Draft Not Submitted. Submit Assignment. You'll be taken to a window to ask you to confirm that it's all your own work. Say yes. Your work will be emailed to your tutor will mark it, and then you'll get a grade and some feedback. Okay, so that's about submitting test papers. I've covered most of the useful information here. Just one last thing, how to go about booking your exams. So I mentioned right at the start that I really advise sorting out an exam centre immediately as soon as you start. Unfortunately, there's no definitive list of exam centres in the UK, so you'll just have to search a little bit, and in some cases, maybe even phone around local schools and colleges to see if you can find someone who'll take you. We have got a map on here to help you get started. Let me just scroll down a little bit. So here we've got exam information. There's a map that you can use here. It doesn't have everywhere though, there's quite a lot of gaps in this, and there are a lot more exam centres than there are on this map. A better link would be to use this this AQA link. Even if you're doing an edXL exam, this is just a really good list because it's got lots of centres, and most importantly, it's got phone numbers of all the centres. A lot of centres are not very good at answering emails. So what you need to do is phone the places that are nearest you. So I can't remember, somebody told me where they lived earlier. So for example, one of you guys watching, tell me where you live and I'll show you how to go about using this list to find an exam centre. Crawley. Tell me where Crawley is. And I know vaguely it's in the south of England. Which county is it in? And that way I'll, West Sussex. Right, so go to W, West Sussex. Oh, it's not here. Would it be under Sussex? Sussex. I've just said this is a brilliant website and I can't even find where it is. Sussex. All right, let's look. Let's see if it's in Sussex. Do those places look like places that are near you? You might have to search a little bit, I'm afraid. So these are all set out by county. Yeah, okay. So hopefully when you go on here, you'll think, oh yes, Brighton is quite near me. I can get there on the train. Call up the centre, ask them, do you accept private candidates? Yes, we do. Fantastic. Can I do AQA A-level maths at your exam centre in June 2019? Yes, thank you. How do I go about booking? What's your closing dates? How much is it going to cost? Ask them those questions. So even if you don't commit to booking now, every exam centre charges different amounts because they set their own admin fee, so it can vary a lot, sometimes by £100 or more. So it's really worth phoning around. If it means spending £10 more to get a train a little bit further away, then do that to save money. If you phone someone up and they say, no, we don't accept private candidates, then just say to them, do you know somewhere else nearby that does? Because they will have the best local information. There are hundreds of exam centres in the UK that accept private candidates, so you will find somewhere. You just might need to travel a little bit further. So it's a good idea to sort this out straight away, even if you don't yet commit to booking, just so that you know where you're going to sit your exam, what their closing dates are, and how much it's going to cost. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful. If not, use the EdXL map. They change every year, so that's why there's no difference. So some years they'll accept private candidates, some years they won't. You need to give them the exam board that your exam is with. All of that information is in your course and assessment guide or student handbook. So that's what you need to give them to book your exam. They give you a form and everything. Okay, so set your exam, get your results. For most summer exams, they'll come up in August. If you need to know the exact date of your exam, go to this is the next bit, scroll down. Now, at the moment, all of the exam timetables are here, the ones for the upcoming exam, so you'll only ever get them a year in advance. When do you want to do your exam? Is it an IGCSE physics? Was that right that you were doing? I can't remember because there are a couple of different people. And were you going to do the January exam or the summer exam? I'm going to replace these actually very shortly with just one timetable that's got everything in it. So if you're doing IGCSE, be careful because some of these timetables are GCSE and some are IGCSE. So if you were doing IGCSE physics, you have to do both. No. You either do the exam in January or you do it in the summer. Okay, and you only need to do it again if you don't pass it. So supposing you were going to do your exam in the summer, you just click on there. It's usually easier to find exam centres that offer the May June session. The January one is less popular, so it's usually the most common time to sit exams. And then you've got your exam timetable. Let's have a look. Physics, that starts with a P, not an F. So there's your exams, 23rd of May 2018 and 15th of June. Once in the afternoon, that's a 2-hour exam, and then you've got a 1-hour exam in the morning on the 15th of June. Okay. Also, a good idea to work through past papers. So I'll just go back to the student community page there. You have to go to both of them. So if you, it will be in your course and assessment guide. So most qualifications have more than one paper. And you have to, both those papers are combined to make up your total. I don't know why that's not working. Just trying to, maybe if I just close this. Just trying to get back to my student community page. Frozen. Okay, here we go. Back to this. Yes, so for example, if you were doing A-level maths, that's 3 papers. If you're doing IGCSE physics, that's 2 papers. If you're doing IGCSE double award science, that's 3 papers of biology, chemistry, physics. So you have to do all of those papers because they all count towards your final grade, but that information will be in your student handbook or course and assessment guide. If you've got any questions about that, ask your tutor, they'll know. If you want past papers, either go to the EdXL past paper page or the AQA past paper page. In some cases, if it's a new qualification, you won't find past papers. There'll only be if it's a new qualification, there'll be sample assessment materials on the specification page. But it's always a very good idea to work through past papers and the solution, just to get a good idea before you go to the exam of how your paper will be laid out, and also working in timed conditions is something that you'll need to practice. That's the A-level and GCSE results day for next summer. If you're doing A-level, you're probably going to sit your exams in 2019. GCSE, you'll probably be aiming for the 2018 session. But you don't have to be within your support period with ICS Lab to sit your exam. So do as much as you can, and if you feel that you need to do the exam in the following exam slot, then you can do that if you want. Okay, that's about it. I've slightly gone over time. I'm just going to stop sharing my desktop. Just one more thing. Underneath there, study hints and tips. Very, very, very important when you're doing distance or online learning is to be really organised. I'm still on the information for GCSE and A-level students page here. If you scroll down to the section that says study tips and hints, probably the most useful thing here is a timetable template, or make your own. One thing I really, really advise is making a timetable. So, as I said, distance learning is wonderful. You can study at a time and place that suits you, but you do have to study. And I would plan in, so for a typical either GCSE or A-level, I think you should be doing between 6 and 10 hours a week as a minimum. Some people might need more hours. Most people will not need less, so you will need that at least that amount of time. And it's always best to study little and often. If you click on that link timetable template on the information page, that will download a template which you can then fill in. It downloads at the bottom, so you just need to press open, and that will pop open underneath. I think it's actually a Word document. And then you can just type in here, it's not enable editing there, so you can just type in what you're going to do when. So I might want to do maths at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Monday. I might want to spend 2 hours on my maths. And then I might want to do English here if I'm doing more than one subject, and so on. Put that somewhere prominent on your fridge or on your wall, and make sure that you stick to it. I mean, obviously, you only have to answer to yourself. If you miss a session, just pencil it in somewhere else. But make sure that you're organised. Just like anything, I think you really need to make yourself study at prescribed time so that you make sure that you don't fall behind. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my desktop quickly. Stop sharing, and we'll have a quick recap. So you got your timetable, fill it in something like this if you're doing more than one subject, just as if you were at school or college. It's much more constructive though to have say 3 lots of 2 hours than to just study for 6 hours on a Sunday. So little and often is a much more constructive way of learning. Because your brain gets tired and you stop taking in information, and everyone knows that you also process information while you're sleeping. So little and often is really the most constructive way to study. So where to go from here? After you stop watching this webinar, contact each of your tutors if you're doing more than one course and introduce yourself. So contact your tutor at the top of your course page. Read the course assessment guide or student handbook if it's called that for each of your courses to find out how many exam papers you'll be doing, what exam board it is, how to work through your study materials and so on. So that will be specific to each subject. It's like the instructions. Everyone wants to go straight into the course materials like reading the instructions first. So do read that first. Add a profile picture. You don't have to, but it's quite nice. And if you want to go onto the Talk to Other Students forum, some new courses might not have any comments on there yet. Nobody looks at those really except for the tutors. Sorry, not the tutors. Nobody looks at those except other students. So talk to other students, and just go on there and talk to other people and introduce yourself. Make a study timetable, as I just outlined, for each of the courses that you're working on, and then before you start as well, as soon as you can, make sure that you can find an exam centre. You can actually call any school or college that you know of in your local area. So if you've got a relationship with the school or college, if it's a school or college that you went to when you were younger, or if it's where your children study, it's worth asking them the question. They might be able to take you and ask them how much it will cost and what their closing dates are for booking. Normally, if you're sitting the May, June exams, you really need to book that by the January at the latest, because all of the exam centres have to contact the exam board with their candidates by the beginning of February, and that's their closing date. You can book after that, but you'll have to pay late booking fees. Okay, are there any questions? That's about it from me. Got slightly over my half hour there, but hopefully you found that enjoyable and informative. Is there anything I didn't cover, or anything that you want to ask? You can always contact ICS Learn Student Services if you've got any questions. Don't contact me, because I'm a maths teacher, unless it's a question about maths and you're studying maths. If you enjoyed this webinar and you'd like to leave me a review, it would be very much appreciated. Don't forget to mention my name, Melissa. So if you want to say, I had a webinar with the lovely Melissa and I really enjoyed it, that would really make my day, thank you. So click on there and mention the webinar. We don't get great numbers to these webinars, and I think they're a really good way of getting started and meeting somebody face to face. But I think people are a little bit scared of coming to live sessions. So encourage your fellow students to come along, because I said, oh, only 3 people. I'd like to have more numbers. I don't like talking to myself. So there we go. Leave me some feedback. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you do need to get in touch, contact ICS Learn Student Services. Remember their contact details at the bottom of every page on the ICS Learn Student community. There we go. That's it from me for tonight. Hopefully you found that helpful, and good luck with your studies. Hopefully you'll enjoy the experience. Hopefully you're looking forward to it, and you'll get a lot from it. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Good luck.